What's up, tubers? This is Daniel. Today I'm going to land a spaceship at Cape Canaveral.
All systems nominal.
I'm in a low Earth orbit, and you can see on my map here. This takes a little bit to dial in. Okay, right over Cape Canaveral here. So this is Orbital. Orbital is a space flight simulator with a very steep learning curve. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, it's complicated, so just be warned. So here's Cape Canaveral, and my trajectory has me coming just to the north of it. I'd rather come from the south and then take a left turn and then hit the runway, which is about right here. So I'm going to point my spaceship to the right. I'm still in space, so there's no aerodynamic drag. So I can just point it. And then I'll use my main thrusters to change my trajectory here. Just a little bit. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to point it forward. Point my spaceship forward. By the way, this is what it looks like here. Can't see it too well because it's dark right now. But luckily we'll be landing at Cape Canaveral just as the sun comes up, so it'll look kind of cool. So right now my altitude is 100 kilometers, which means I'm experiencing just a tiny bit of the atmosphere on the spaceship, and if I look at my indicated airspeed, it shows 822 meters per second, which is obviously not my real speed. My real speed is 7.8 kilometers per second. But this just shows me that I'm getting a little bit of air of the spaceship. Alright, so the procedure for re-entry. First things first, you want to do your re-entry procedure. Turn on my APU, auxiliary power unit, and I'm going to dump the last of my fuel here and load up my oxygen, just to reduce the weight as much as I can. I don't have much left though, so I'm going to hold on to it. I have about one day.
Warning, oxygen low.
Apparently I have 14 people in the spaceship, but they never talk to me, so it's kind of lonely.
System reset.
Okay. Now, I want to make sure that my spaceship is ready for re-entry.
Warning, re-entry check failed.
And it looks like I still have my radiator deployed, so I'm going to go up here and put my radiator away. Radiator is right here. And that has to be deployed when you're out in space to radiate heat, otherwise the spaceship will overheat. There's no air to cool it down in space. Okay.
Re-entry check, all systems green.
Alright, make sure I have
on.
Aerodynamic control.
Rotation.
Set my RCS mode to rotation so I still can change the orientation of the ship with my thrusters. And the only real input you have when you're doing re-entry is setting your angle of attack. And that's going to be the angle of the ship in this direction. So I'm going to pitch up here. Okay. So that should be a familiar orientation. That's the way the space shuttle comes in. And by adjusting the angle of attack, I'm going to make this little dot here show up right on Cape Canaveral. This little dot is where the computer is estimating that I'm going to land. Right now I'm way overshooting it. So I've got my angle of attack pretty high. In fact, I'll put it a little bit higher for now. 45. Generally, you want it between 30 and 40 for the manual for the spaceship. Okay, so before I did re-entry, I was in orbit. At an orbit of about 150 kilometers, if I remember correctly, above the Earth, on both the apogee and the perigee. And to come back into the atmosphere, you slow down when you're on one side, and that reduces the perigee so that it's actually below the atmosphere. So it's pretty straightforward. You're orbiting Earth, and you just sort of put on the brakes, so to speak. That slows you down, and you end up coming back in the atmosphere. So right now my perigee is set at negative 83 kilometers, which is well inside the Earth, which is a good place to be. So some other stuff you can look at here. My slope is negative 0.39. I want to keep that below about negative 1. So between 0 and negative 1. The lower the value is, the shallower you come in, and the less heat your spaceship has that dissipate as it's coming through the atmosphere, because it's over a longer period of time. And you can look at the temperature display here. Right now, 72 degrees, that's Celsius. The outside temperature is negative 85. Once we start hitting the atmosphere, this is going to shoot up. It's going to get really hot. And the whole spaceship's going to turn into a fireball, and it looks kind of cool, even in the simulator. Okay, so my vertical speed here is negative 57 meters per second.
Information. APU fuel 90%.
Yeah, that's fine. So here you can see my trajectory is catching up there. So I'm going to change my angle of attack quickly, because it looks like it's having looks like the computer's kind of chugging there. Usually it's quick. Must be the fraps. So I changed my angle of attack downwards, and that should make me glide further, which should move this point farther towards Cape Canaveral. Right now I'm undershooting, and I want to basically come in right before it, about right there. That'll give me some time to make my final approach turn into the runway, which is about here. Right now you can see the temperature is coming up a little bit. It was negative 70 before, now it's negative 39, and climbing fairly quickly. Everything else checks out. I'm at 0.45 slope, negative 58 meters per second. This all looks good. Okay, I just passed Mach 26. 26 times the speed of sound. And you can see how far away I am right now. There's the United States. So I'm basically south of the equator and just south of Baja there. And I'm just scorching across the sky here. I'm across southern Mexico. Be able to see Yucatan Peninsula off to the right, and hopefully come in for a nice smooth landing at Cape Canaveral. And I'm undershooting now, so I'm gonna reduce my angle of attack. Temperatures is at positive 44 degrees Celsius, and you can see the range here I've got all the way up to here, which is a few thousand degrees Celsius at the upper end. So the ship can tolerate a lot of heat. The hull temperature can get really high before it disintegrates, but if you do go above the temperature, the simulator will let you know by killing you. Alright, about to pass to Mach 25 now. We're at an altitude of 74 kilometers.
Mach 25.
So my vertical speed actually came up to almost zero, which means I sort of surfed across the top of the atmosphere for just a few minutes. And that's okay as long as you're not going too fast and you skip right out and you go back into orbit, which really throws off your re-entry. But luckily, sort of within the envelope of success, and I'll probably be able to pull this off. Right now my trajectory has me just south of Cape Canaveral, which is where I want it. I actually want to bring it in just a little bit. The computer is reacting a little bit slowly, I think because I'm running fraps in the background, so this dot is not updating as frequently as I want, which makes it a little more difficult. But I've done it a few times. Here you can see this is southern Mexico. Going over southern Mexico right now, and over here it's going to be Panama.
Mach 24.
And you can just start to see a glow on the horizon here. That's going to be the sun coming up. And on the map, you can see right here, going over southern Mexico. In fact, I must be pretty close to the Panama Canal. I wonder if... well, it's too hard to see. In any case, right on the southern tip of Mexico, about to go into the Gulf of Mexico. And off to the right, we will see the Yucatan Peninsula. That's the direction my ship is actually facing. You can see I still have a pretty steep angle attack, exactly 40 degrees right now, which is just about the maximum you really want to come in at. But my slope is below 1, so doing pretty good. Whole temperature is coming up quite a bit now.
23.
240 degrees Celsius. And really that's just the beginning. It's going to get super hot.
Re-entry check. All systems green. 22.
Mach 22 coming out over the Yucatan Peninsula. The sun's rising right this moment. Of course, it's rising a little bit quicker than usual because we're going... how fast are we going? 6.7 kilometers per second, which is fucking fast.
Information. APU fuel 80%. Mach 21.
Whole temperature is at 670 degrees right now. Now I've got a real steep angle of attack here because I'm starting to overshoot.
Mach 20.
I'm at 44.5, which is a little bit too high. Ooh, my slope is right about to pass 1. So, I might not make it. It's a pretty delicate process, if you think about it. This line right here, that's actually
19.
a circle. That's my line of sight. So that means right about now I can see the eastern edge of Florida right here. Of course I can't see it because of haze, but technically it's there. That also means that I'm going to be coming into radio range of the Vor Tower, which is going to give me direction and distance to a tower which is stationed off here, which is basically where I want to aim to get myself ready for a turn-in for the runway.
Mach 17.
Alright, so I'm burning up now. 1600 degrees. I'm a big fireball. I'm still within my envelope, but you can see I'm getting kind of close here. Top end up here, I'm dead if it gets here.
Mach 16.
Luckily I can shallow up my angle of attack here, because I'm undershooting now. Ooh boy, I'm burning up. Coming in from space. Alright, here's the western side of Florida. And this is all going to happen pretty quickly. Looks like I'm overshooting now.
Mach 14.
My temperature's coming back down now, which means I'm past the most critical part of the re-entry.
Mach 13.
And I'm going to increase my angle of attack because I'm still overshooting now. And I've got my Vor tower now. I'm 370 kilometers away, and I'm basically pointed right at it this time.
Mach 12.
That's good.
Mach 11. Mach 10.
Alright, here I am coming out over the coast of western Florida. Down there is Miami or something, and Orlando is probably in there somewhere. I don't really know Florida that well.
Mach 8.
I'm starting to experience some wing load here. I just changed my angle of attack to catch up a little bit here. I was running a little bit short.
Mach 7.
But so far so good. You can actually see Cape Canaveral here.
Mach 6.
I'm going just to the right of the Vor station, which is good, because I'm going to come up to the right and make a left turn. I'm actually
Mach
going...
5.
My vertical speed is positive right now, which means I'm going up in the air. Which is okay. I don't think that's what normally happens in the space shuttle, even on accident. But I've got just enough aerodynamic control
Off.
to make these pitch adjustments and sort of adjust where I'm going to land. This is my direction vector right here, and this is good. It's coming down quite a bit now, and I want it to actually be just south of Cape Canaveral. I'm at 28 kilometers in the air, which is still far too high for any meaningful aerodynamic control. But I'm going to start pitching down now. To get myself sort of pointed at the base until I reach the enough air to actually control the ship, and then I'll basically just fly it in. So usually at this point I change from angle attack to pitch control, my attitude control, just because I like to do it manually. There's probably a little bit better way. Alright, so I got a nice stable glide. The actual runway is right there. Kind of from right to left there. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my autopilot and start flying it in. They can usually hold about 10 degrees pitch from my glide. And you can kind of make an estimation based on the direction vector and how parallel it is with where you want to go, and it's above right now, so that's good.
Subsonic.
Just below the speed of sound now. Well, all things said, this is a pretty good re-entry. I've got enough energy to make it to the runway. I didn't burn up. I didn't die. I could still die on landing, but we'll deal with that. Alright, I'm going to start my final turn. Coming in a final approach here. It's much better to be a little bit high than too low. If it's too low, technically, if you're in the space shuttle and you come in too low, you're dead because you can't turn on thrusters.
4,000.
This is a fictional spacecraft, so I can turn on thrusters, but I don't like to cheat, so I'm going to try to do it legit.
Information. APU fuel 70%.
I'm also going to open up my reverse thruster retro door here.
2,000.
That'll allow me to reverse thrust and slow down. Coming in a little hot, so I'm going to turn the air brakes.
To land. $1,000. 900. 800. 700. 600. 500.
Concentrate!
400. 300. 200. 100. 75. 50. 30. 20. 10. 7. 4. 2. Wheels down.
Alright. That, my friends, is how you land a spaceship from space. Got reverse thrusters on,
100
left and right
knots.
wheel brake. And once I get wheel stop, I'm done. See ya!